And you're trying to get a look at this document. From what I understand, he says you're okay to come to the Bureau and look at it. Is that the case, and is that good enough for you?
Well, it's not good enough for me. We asked for the document a month ago. It's been subpoenaed. He ought to respond to a subpoena. We're doing the constitutional job of oversight. I have read that document. If he would read it, and it's an unclassified document, he admits it exists, and we aren't interested in whether or not the accusations against Vice President Biden are accurate or not.
Well, at least they're admitting it, right? I mean, I thought Republicans were supposed to be fairly skilled at hyping phony scandals about Democrats to rile up fear and hatred, but the latest batch of Republicans they've sent to Fox News have just been saying the quiet part out loud.
Let's face it, the bank records aren't going to show bribe in exchange for this foreign policy change. But we know that President Biden lied to America when he said he never discussed Hunter's overseas business deals. We know he lied when he said that Hunter never made money off of China. Hunter made millions of dollars off of China. So we know that Biden has lied repeatedly to the American public on this very issue. These things look sleazy. There's all kinds of conflict of interest. We're going to have to infer an awful lot.
And your party, the Republican investigators, say that that's proof of influence peddling by Hunter and James. But that's just your suggestion. You don't actually have any facts to that point. You've got some circumstantial evidence. And the other thing is, of all those names, the one person who didn't profit is there's no evidence that Joe Biden did anything illegally.
Loud enough for Grassley here to hear, and well, he's almost 90. While on Fox News, a Republican senator from Iowa was asked about a document that fellow fraud House Republican James Comer was demanding that the FBI turn over so that they could supposedly put the final nail in the paper coffin, proving Biden to be guilty of, well, something, I think. Judging by this interview, it seems that they got the document and are once again left starving from the big nothing burger. When pressed on it, surprisingly, on Fox, Chuck Grassley just flat out admitted that they don't care whether the accusations against President Biden are true or not, which comes as no surprise at all. Right?
And you're trying to get a look at this document. From what I understand, he says you're okay to come to the Bureau and look at it. Is that the case, and is that good enough for you?
Well, it's not good enough for me. We asked for the document a month ago. It's been subpoenaed. He ought to respond to a subpoena. We're doing the constitutional job of oversight. I have read that document. If he would read it, and it's an unclassified document, he admits it exists, and we aren't interested in whether or not the accusations against Vice President Biden are accurate or not. We're responsible for making sure the FBI does its job, and that's what we want to know.
Okay, Senator, let me stop you there. You just said you read the document, is that right?
Yes.
Then what did it say?
Well, I'm not going to characterize it. We're going to make it public when they get it delivered to us. But if he would read it, he would know that all the excuses that he's giving us, that he wants to protect sources, and that's important to protect sources, but that's not an issue with this document the way I read it, and he ought to come forth. They've got to produce this document. You know, they're up against what the Durham report has said about the shortcomings and the political bias of the FBI, and this is just one more example of them not being forthcoming to the public, because the public's business ought to be public, and there's no reason for an unclassified document to be held in secret.
Senator, how damning is this document to the sitting U.S. president?
Well, it's I don't know that, and that's what we need.
But you've read it.
I read it. Let's put it this way. There's accusations in it, but it's not for me to make a judgment about whether these accusations are accurate or not. It's up to my job to make sure the FBI is doing their job. And that's what this is all about as far as I'm concerned. Public's business ought to be public.
Now, this follows an array of shameless train wreck interviews on Fox regarding Biden's alleged dealings that have all gone one way.
But yet, when it turns out to be the President of the United States' involvement and his family in crime enterprises, then they seem to turn their head. So we've got a real problem. I salute Speaker McCarthy for getting with Director Wray. I think they're going to be talking this Thursday. I would hope that Director Wray understands that Congress is.
Let me get back to Director Wray in a moment, but I do want to mention this, that absolutely, according to the Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington, on record, Jared Kushner and Ivanka Trump made up to $640 million while her father was in office, and they were official advisors to the president. If you would explain to our viewers why the Hunter Biden scenario is different.
No, well.
I'm not going to disclose that new name because that really changes things, because what we assumed was this was just about the president's son and two brothers. But now there's a new name that's emerged. So, and they are a Biden. So we've got a problem here with respect to trying to determine what exactly this family was doing to receive these transactions from China.
This is important.
And I think every American should be concerned about that. This is an issue of national security.
Yeah, let's see where it goes, okay? It's been 5 years, and what do we have for it? 5 years, long time to be investigating.
Truth of what exactly the Biden family was doing with our adversaries in China.
Okay, we will see where the next chapter leads. James Comer, thank you for your time. It's rather incendiary, and we'll see whether or not you're onto something. Again, 5 years investigating. Nothing just yet. James Comer, thank you for your time today.
Thanks for having me.
All right.
I know the Republicans said that the smoking gun were these financial records that you were able to subpoena and got your hands on. They show that some of the president's relatives were paid more than $10 million from foreign sources between 2015 and 2017. And your party, the Republican investigators, say that that's proof of influence peddling by Hunter and James. But that's just your suggestion. You don't actually have any facts to that point. You've got some circumstantial evidence. And the other thing is, of all those names, the one person who didn't profit is there's no evidence that Joe Biden did anything illegally.
And we aren't interested in whether or not the accusations against Vice President Biden are accurate or not.
We've got pride. Do you? We're celebrating Pride Month with a brand new collection of tanks, V-necks, and more. Go to store.MeidasTouch.com right now and grab yours. Oh, and don't forget that koozie.